Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mia Luyando with Badass Art. We are here today to start a new coloring adventure in our book, Puddle Town. We have been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and finally the books are in, the pencils are in, and we are going to actually work on the cover picture. So I have opened the book, and this is the picture we're going to start on. I was waiting for the Monarch pencils to arrive from Black Widow, and I was going to use the skin tone set as well as these Monarchs. This is the Monarch, and the Monarch set is basically a macaron set, but with a bit of a twist. And I'll show you why. I don't usually show the whole set of pencils, but I'm going to kind of swing over here and show you why I love this set of pencils so much. They are all kind of a neutral, sort of a Morandi color palette, and those are colors that I use the most if you have been following the channel or my work for any length of time. And I just got those pencils about 45 minutes ago. The Prime driver dropped them off. I was super excited. I just opened them up, and I'm not even sure what, the packaging is obviously not in color order or anything like that, and that's okay. I'm going with it. I've been so excited about this set. So before I jump in, these are wax pencils, and there are 48 in the set, and I think I paid less than $20 US, and I'll as always, I'll have the link in the description below. Before we take off on our Puddle Town, then we're going to be doing a couple of pictures from this book. So if you have ordered it and you're following along, awesome. We're going to be doing this one and a couple of others. Next week, we're also going to be doing a couple of pictures from the newest book, Twilight Aeronauts. This one was just released last week or week before. We haven't really gotten into this book yet, but it's brand new. I haven't colored anything in this yet. I finished it and sent it off, and Amazon has just sent me this book, and I'm really excited about it. If you guys are interested in this, I'm going to put a link in the description below, and we'll be doing quite a few skin tone tutorials out of this book as well. So without further ado, let's get back to Puddle Town. I'm going to do the majority. I think the majority of this I can use the macaron palette for the Black Widows, but if I do kind of run into if I'm looking for a color, I can't quite find it, I might jump over into the skin tone set. We'll see. We'll see. So I'm going to start out with this dark gray color. It is MN109, and I think I've mentioned before that one of the things that I really appreciate about Black Widow is you always know what set you're working in. They tell you. This is the Monarch set. So if you get your pencils sort of mixed up and you're like, oh, well, I don't know where I got them, you never really have to worry about that. They're always going to tell you where they go. So this is just dark gray. I'm going to just take off with her skin tone here, and this actually might be a little too light. It's going to match the gray scale, it looks like. So let's actually choose something a little bit darker. Let's try coal. And what I'm going for, what I'm trying to get is like that bluish undertone, like we saw on the cover. And, I say it all the time, let the grayscale work for you. And obviously we're going to do that today, but there were a couple of spots that I just wanted to deepen up a little bit. Now this weekend, normally I only post videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but this weekend I'm making a bit of an exception, and we're going to do some videos on blending and blenders colors, and this one is called Blue Moon, MN042. We're going to use some Gamsol, and we're going to use some colorless blender pencils. I'm sure most of you have seen these in different sets of pencils, like Prismacolor has them, and Caran d'Ache, and I believe, well, most nicer brands of pencil include a colorless blender. And also, a lot of markers include an alcohol colorless blender. So we're going to just scoop all of that up, and we're going to experiment with those and what they actually do to your pencils and how they help you blend your colors into one another. So that's what we're going to do this weekend. I'll have that video out for you sometime tomorrow afternoon. I hope you'll join me. Now, this skin tone is definitely different than what we're used to doing, but she's a little puddle fairy. She's a little water fairy, so her skin is going to look different. And you know, the thing about skin is it can be any color, as long as you're patient with yourself and you take your time and you blend all the colors in. It's always going to come out, you know, in a way that's going to make you happy. You just have to be sure you've chosen the colors that you want beforehand. And coming into this, I knew I was choosing you know, deeper blues like navies and indigo, and as long as they have a kind of a gray base, they will work for this little girl. But I don't think we've done a tutorial on a skin tone that's other than, you know, just different shades of ethnics, from super pale to deeper, you know, deeper dark. I don't think we've done a blue or a green skin tone, so this is something fun and new. And I hope you enjoy. I'm just taking my time, nice and easy. Black Widow pencils are wax. They're really soft. They're not as soft as Prismas, but I would say they're kind of like an Indra, if you've worked with Indra. Maybe a little softer than, say, a Brute Funer. But they're in that category. So you don't have to apply a whole lot of pressure to get a lot of pigment. You want to just kind of approach it lightly with a soft hand, and you know, keep those circles nice and small, and that helps you blend better later. Puddle Town is one of my favorite books. I worked on Puddle Town. It took me about a year, I think, to finish. I kept working on it, and you know, it was like I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted the background. I wanted the little puddle city to look a certain way, and I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. So it's been probably about getting close to a year that this book has been out, so it was fun to get the request to bring it back. Now I'm going right over the grayscale with this color. The deeper grayscale, I mean. Don't let it intimidate you. A lot of people, you know, they say, you know, I don't know how to, you know, color over these really dark places, don't let it intimidate you. That's why I do these tutorials. I don't want you guys to feel intimidated ever by a coloring page. I have always worked usually from dark to light, and so I prefer a darker grayscale, or I prefer working on black paper with lighter pencils. And when I started making my own coloring books, that was something that was important to me. I wanted to be able to use all of those lighter shades of pencils that kind of got lost on standard coloring books. And you think about grayscale, and I've said this before, but if you're new, if you've never watched one of my videos before, I'll say it again. You know, when you're working with white paper and you color something that's really, really dark, and then you go over it with a lighter shade, like a white or a pale gray or whatever, it doesn't really show up. And I don't really know why. But if you're coloring on a really dark grayscale, and you go over it with a darker color, and then you go over it with a lighter color, that lighter color pencil just shines. It's absolutely beautiful. It shows up. It's kind of like when you're a little kid and you never used the white crayon because it never showed up. When you're dealing with black paper or darker grayscale, your white crayon is always going to show up. I guess that's one of the things I love about it. And I really enjoy using shimmery shades and pale colors and really bringing things from the dark to the light. And you know, that's one of the things that you'll definitely learn if you're following this channel, is the wider range of colors that you're going to get to experience by starting with a darker background. I'm just kind of making my way around her face in the darker shadows. And these pencils are so creamy. I really enjoy Black Widows. I didn't try Black Widows until I was I'm actually relatively new to the brand. It's only been a couple of years, and I really liked them right away. I was really impressed with them immediately, and I enjoy their skin tone sets. They have a light skin tone and a dark skin tone set. I use them both regularly, and they're a pencil that blends well with each other and other pencils. They play well with other brands, and that's not always the case with pencils. Sometimes they're just kind of made to work, you know, with other colors in their own brand. And when you try to mix them with other brands, they don't blend so well. And I'm not sure if it's just, you know, the content of wax versus oil or what that's about, but I've never had that problem with this brand. They always work very well, and that's, you know, that's important. It's important to me. And just kind of getting the darker parts of her skin. Now on her little legs here, I'll probably mostly be this darker color, because they're mostly shadow. Okay, now I'm going to move to a lighter blue. And this is called Cat's Eye. That's another thing about Black Widow. I love the way they name their pencils. They're just very entertaining in the names of their pencils. Now this one is quite a bit lighter, but we're going to go ahead and work this in, and we're going to take it all the way to the back. Now we're going to go ahead and work it into that other, that darker blue, so we get a nice seamless blending. Trying to get a good angle so you guys can see. And I am not a professional, when it comes to video or, editing or anything like that. I do the best I can, and I'm sorry if I, am bumpy or wiggly or whatever, but, I try and show you guys as best I can. I don't have a lot of fancy equipment or anything like that, so I hope that what I'm showing you is helpful. Now don't worry if this doesn't look like it's, seamless or anything, This is just our first pass, and we've got a couple of layers to go. So, be patient. It's going to come together, I promise. You're going to be happy. We're definitely going to get our little face done today. This is such a fun little picture. And since we are using a new color scheme for the skin tone, I wanted to take our time with this one. Now, if you want to give her a regular skin tone, absolutely. This is your creation, your vision. This is just the way I wanted to color this one, and I'm always excited to see how everyone sees pictures. And I'm always so excited when I see other people, how they've colored the images. So keep them coming. I always love it. Just, take your time, enjoy the process. It's definitely a process. But these pencils, they're just so, smooth and ultra pigmented. They definitely make it an enjoyable process for sure. called Ocean, MN056. And I'm kind of just gonna go in here where these two blues don't seem to be meeting in the middle. And we're just gonna kind of deepen this blue, or brighten it, I should say. It's kind of a little bit of a brighter blue. And you don't want it to be, you know, shocking. And we're gonna go back in with the darkest, you know, with the darkest shade again. But this kind of, you know, kind of gives you a middle ground. Something to work both sides into, the darker and the lighter. It doesn't have to be extreme, you know, just a little touch here and there. And I notoriously forget ears. You watched me do it, huh? I'll get, you know, I'll be so excited about, oh yeah, this portrait looks great, but, you know, there's a missing ear, and I always have to go back and do it. You'd think after 30 plus years I would remember to check the ears, but apparently that's my fate, is to leave out the ears. Maybe someday, if I ever do like a live stream coloring, you guys can write to me and remind me I've forgotten an ear. That would be fun. Now I don't really want to completely cover this ear with a darker blue. I want to have a bit of a highlight. Now I'm going to grab an even... Oh, that's not the one I thought it was. We're going to go back to the lighter one, the cat's eye. Now I'm just going to kind of work this all the way through both of those colors. And see how easy that kind of just folds in together. And sort of just blends right in. And I wanted to highlight, use the lightest color for the rest of this ear. Now just to show you what I was talking about with the lighter, much lighter shades showing up. This is light gray. And you can see how easy that color shows up. Because we still want the raindrops. You know, we still want to see the raindrops falling on her little face. And there's not a pure white pencil in this set, but I will grab one from another set and go in, you know, to further highlight some of these little nooks and crannies and crevices. But we'll do that in the in-between videos. That's, you know, something that you guys can do. But for now, I think I'm gonna leave her for today. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna add some little pink lips to her before we close the video for today. This one's called Bliss. And we're just lightly gonna touch give her just a little touch of color on her lips. And if we decide later we wanna, you know, darken it or, you know, lighten it, we will. But I wanted to just kind of show we were there and kind of show that the portrait's moving. And you know, we'll give her just a little touch of blush. And that's one thing about wax pencils. Wax pencils will blend with the color underneath it to change the color. So like going over this blue with pink, you'll have kind of a little lavender shade underneath. Now, if you're using oil pencils, these are wax pencils. If you're using oil pencils, that color's gonna sit on top and you're gonna be able to see layers and levels of color. You know, if you would just see pink. If this was an oil pencil, you wouldn't see a lavender. And I hope that makes sense. Wax pencils blend with each other to create different shades and nuances, where oil pencils, they don't mix with each other as much. You have to build different layers to change the colors. So that's one of the differences between oil and wax pencils. Okay, so I'm just kind of adding some little pink touches here and there just to give her some little highlights. And I think with that, we will call it a day on this one. And when we come back tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, it will be Monday, because today is Friday. When we come back Monday, we're gonna work on this rain and the background lighting, how the light, how the light source comes in, how the foggy kind of rainy look is created with pencils, and how to get the reflections in the rain to look real. That's basically what we're working on. So we will leave it for today, and on Monday we'll be back with the same set. We're still going to be using the Black Widow Monarch set, and I think I called it a macaron set before, but basically that's what it is. It's all pastel colors. So, but it is called the Monarch, and I don't know why they put a deer instead of a butterfly, but that was what they chose to put on the cover. We might grab the Black Widow Dark skin tone set to add the darker colors of the wood in here. So if you have that set, go ahead and have those ready for Monday. And if not, just follow along with us and you can add your colors in later. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. That way you'll always know when I put out a new video. I hope everybody's enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.